going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC reality check, and you don't see my pretty sexy face, so you know I'm not alone. I need something to cheer me up about NXT this week. So Jake's back, and we're finally going to do part 2 of who should NXT bring into their Cruiserweight division. Yeah, I gotta work on the title.
It's been a little bit of a while. I had to go back and really, go ahead and refresh myself on episode 1 and, remind me who we were discussing.
The week before Stand and Deliver?
Yes, exactly. So we were talking about, people that we would like to see added to the CW division, such as Mustafa Ali, Enzo, Montez Ford, or Dawkins, if you want to do a tag thing, Crazy Steve, TJP or Suicide and Manic, whatever you want to call them, and everybody from Lucha House Party at that point. So that, was where we left off.
So yeah, if you missed the first episode, there's your Cole's notes on the first episode.
Yeah, that's your quick summary. But
we got part 2 and part 3. Hopefully, you won't have to wait as long for. So we're just going to jump right into it and talk about somebody who could potentially bring a tag team with them, but I really want to put the focus on him, and that's Rey Fenix.
Yeah,
this is a no-brainer, right?
I want Penta with him. I feel like Penta doesn't fit in the cruiserweights anyways. I mean, he is, I believe, close to the size. Let me see what Penta's weight is.
Oh, I didn't mean to bring Penta into the Cruiserweight division as well. I just mean by bringing Rey Fenix into the Cruiserweight division, you'd have Penta in NXT in general. So they can have multi-facets.
Exactly, so you can have it in both sides. But I'm saying, could he... I don't think he could... I was curious what his weight was.
I believe he's just over. Like, if the weight limit is 105, I think he's like 110 or something like
207. That. 207. 2 pounds over. Okay, so... They could make it work. I knew he was very close. That's
part of the reason I wanted to add that in, though, is because it is a problem. We do have to address, what's his name right now? Escobar is breaking that mold right now, but they really do have to shake the idea of if you're in the Cruiserweight division, that's your spot. Yeah. And if you got one guy that's...
should be able to go elsewhere, yeah.
And if you got one guy that's got one eye on the Cruiserweight division and one eye on possibly becoming a tag team champion, you start to break that mold. But, I mean, just... It's really unfortunate that Leo Rush, as much as I've had to say about Leo Rush recently, has retired. Because
I hope it's not to stay.
Yeah. Due to injuries, I haven't really read all the details. But we could have seen them... Like, you would have gotten Rey Fenix and Leo Rush. Like, AEW wouldn't have let that slip through their fingers.
I still wonder if he retired because of Mark Henry and not the injury and wanting to change courses.
But if you think about this, and if we think about it as sort of not necessarily in the current era, but like in general over the span of NXT's short Cruiserweight division run, I mean, say what you want about Leo Rush, or somebody like Leo Rush, putting that belt on him was what they did to rebrand it as the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. So if you can imagine, if we were having this conversation a couple years ago, you would have had Rey Fenix, Leo Rush for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship sooner than later.
Yeah, which would have been amazing.
And I mean, I think you can even see him now. Like, there's an appeal to maybe having the Lucha Brothers taking on Legado del Fantasma, because there's a lot of heritage and stuff like that they can dig into there. You got Legado who come down with the masks but then take them off, and you got obviously the Lucha Brothers who lean into the mask part of the heritage and all that sort of thing. There's almost a story there that writes itself, but Jesus Christ, in general, WWE doesn't have somebody like Rey Fenix.
Good Lucha is amazing, bad Lucha is horrible, and these guys are good Lucha.
Yeah.
Bad Lucha, for a great example, is Sin Cara in WWE. Everything he did prior was great, but not in WWE. That was painful to sit through. The character was badly booked, and there was a lot of issues. Rey Fenix is amazing.
Especially when there was 2 of them.
He's 30 years old. Yeah. No doubt about it, carbon copies. But he's only 30. His brother's 36, so he's got a lot of gas left in that tank as far as years go, as long as he wrestles a little bit more controlled and less neck-breaking of a style. But still, it's interesting to consider all of the things that he's able to do. And he's so impressive that even when he botches or doesn't complete a move, you don't care because it was still so damn impressive.
And I just thought about something just now, because we are focusing on the Cruiserweight division, but I'm thinking about them as a tag team for a second. Lucha Brothers versus MSK.
Oh, Lucha Brothers versus everybody. Grizzled Young Veterans.
Oh, I just mean because MSK most recently, and MSK wasn't completely established as a team that I was familiar with. I think last time we were having this particular conversation, but they by being in the cruiserweight division, have been sort of a shot of adrenaline in that division, and I think you've got somebody else that could, basically step up to them and be like, okay, you're not the only ones that can do that. I mean, Penta's a little bit, and I do stress this, a little bit on the slower side. Like if you think of younger days Hardy Boys, Penta is sort of like the Matt Hardy. Not to say that he doesn't do his own death-defying shit, but Rey Fenix shouldn't work. We've said
He's
it about
like a cannonball. He just goes off, and wherever he lands, it's destruction. I
hate to do, we don't want to do like this person is the next this person or whatever, but how quickly would WWE jump on the hey, this is our new luchador named Rey?
I mean, yeah. I mean, they could. And he's been wrestling since 2005. That's 16 years at this point.
That's insane.
Yeah, and it shows.
Like he's been wrestling for that long, and not to put myself out on the table here, but he's younger than me.
Yeah, exactly. So
I think it's an insane thing. I think the only problem you would have is basically waking up the rest of the roster and being like, hey, as good as all you guys are and as impressive as you guys are, there's a new pace to meet. There's a new
there's a new bar.
Yeah, well, not necessarily a new bar, because like fast doesn't necessarily equal good, but Phoenix is fast and good.
And good, exactly.
So like there's a new I'm trying to think of a better word but there's a new heart rate is a good way to say it. For our cruiserweight division, and as I say, I'd like to see him sort of branch out and do some tag team stuff as well, because why help one division when you can help two? Now, speaking of which, and to flip that coin entirely, I'm going to pluck somebody out of a tag team. Currently on Raw. Nobody deserves to be on Raw.
No
that's
one
That's a punishment. It'll be a bit of a homecoming because he has been in NXT. As you guys know, I've been doing the NXT Rewind series. I've been watching all the old takeovers and what. And before we had Takeover, we had a rival, and a rival had Xavier Woods on it.
Oh, we're not going with the Viking Raiders?
No. Xavier Woods, back before the New Day was a thing, back when he was using the old Funkasaurus entrance music, he was taking on Tyler Breeze, and neither one of them got a shot in the match because they both got taken out by Rusev. Yay!
Yeah, go figure.
That was a segment that happened on a pay-per-view. As we've learned this week, not everything NXT does is gold.
No, certainly not.
But Xavier Woods, man, I don't want to say that it's about the people around him. I want to say that this is all about, hey, here's a great talent. Here's somebody I'd like to see back on NXT. But he is getting Janetti'd on the main roster, and I hate to say that. I mean, most people are really into Kofi Mania. I'm all behind this big push that they've got behind Big E right now. We know where that's going. But, like, you've got a group of three talented guys.
Yeah, nowhere fast because Aleister Black's gone.
Well, yeah, or is he?
At least for now.
Or is he? They're trying to get him back.
Or is he coming back? But
I mean, bring him back to NXT as well, but that's another...
I would love that, and that's their goal. And here's the thing, though, that kills me is that, I mean, honestly, you're absolutely right. It comes down to the fact of, he's being Janetti'd on the main roster.
And, like, to the point where, like, not even that he's not getting a push. Like, when the three of them had tag team gold, how often was he in the combination? And how often was he out there playing, like, cheerleader with the trombone? Yep. Don't get me wrong, and everybody that's out there listening to me right now that thinks I'm just trying to be, like, counter whatever, New Day is a great act. New Day can basically go out there and do the most serious promo they want, or the most goofy promo they want, or pull pancakes out of their pants, or do whatever they want to do. They're a great act. But how often was Xavier Woods in the winning team, unless one of the other two was injured?
Unless somebody was injured, it was usually Kofi and Big E, and he was the cheerleader with the trombone. But here's the thing: he's not only pretty damn decent in the ring, but he's as a competitive force. He's got some very interesting moves. I like Xavier Woods, but
I like the honor roll.
Multifaceted.
Take a maneuver like the honor roll that he doesn't even really use that often anymore, And
no, he doesn't. I don't know why.
Look back up the list to somebody like a Rey Fenix. Not only does he have offense, he has offense that a lot of other wrestlers could have fun with.
Yeah,
and I think
even back when he was Consequences Creed in TNA, from the stuff I've seen.
Yeah.
When he was teaming with Jay Lethal.
When he was teaming with Pac-Man Jones.
Yeah. But
TNA was awesome, wasn't it, guys?
Right.
Actually, I can't even talk shit. Their pay-per-view. I can't even talk shit. Their pay-per-view this past weekend was all right, and they've got a really wicked X Division match coming up soon at Slammiversary.
But Cody, is still not able to challenge for the title. Just keep that in mind. So Xavier Woods goes ahead, and he's just that damn good at being a host, and he's going to be on G4. He's got his YouTube channel, which is very successful. Granted, WWE helped that, but they didn't really, I feel like, give him as much of a boost as they seem to think they did.
Well, this is the thing, too, right? And I always say when they bring in celebrities and people from other areas like that, I always say, like, WWE is paying more attention to the fans that they could have than the fans that they already have by reaching into, the music pocket or the acting pocket or the TV pocket or even the gaming, like, pocket, right? But they've got their own guy, like their own multimedia guy. Like, if gaming was movies, you never know. Like, Austin Creed could be the next Rock, except he's not making movies. He's going and making game content, or he could be the next.
But that's what he's passionate about. So
but that's what I mean.
Like, we're going to see him less on TV, and when G4 takes off, he's just gonna be there. They're not gonna ever push him in the sense of being a main event guy or even a title holder with a singles title. I really don't foresee that. That's why it would be so great to put him back in a competitive atmosphere like the Cruiserweight division. And they'll focus on Kofi. They'll focus on Big E.
Yeah, but think about it. Like, he doesn't even have to be.
How stale the New Day is.
I don't even think I would necessarily make him champion. I don't even think I would.
I'm just saying they're never going to take him serious.
Right.
They won't.
But I mean, like more than some of the manufactured publicity that they get. Oh, Hugh Jackman was on Raw, and then somebody 10 months later will ask him on, like, David Letterman, remember when you went and did that silly wrestling thing? And they mention it for 2 seconds, and that's it, right? But if he's going to be on G4, now I don't know much about gaming either.
He goes,
so you're
I hate that stupid fake shit. It makes it look bad. 10 months later because he's not being paid again.
No, I don't know much about gaming because it's not my forte, so I won't pretend that I do. But he's gone on and he's doing this G4 stuff, but also he's got the up, down, down thing. Now. Yeah. If he goes out there and just talks about how great WWE is, then he sounds like a paid shill. But, like, if he happens to sneak in, like, hey guys, go back and check out this week's episode of NXT. I had a really good match with who's the guy that debuted this week, the Trey Baxter. I had a great match with this new kid Baxter. I think he could be something. That's much more natural, and I hate to do it from, like, the advertising point of view, but that's such a benefit that a brand like NXT could benefit from. That's genuine.
Cross promotion.
But it's genuine. Cross promotion 9.5 times out of 10 comes off fake as shit. It does. Like, the Three Stooges came out on Raw Three Stooges came out on Raw to advertise the Three Stooges movie, and it's like, okay, people watching Raw don't care about the Three Stooges, and the people that are going to watch the Three Stooges movie aren't going to tune in to Raw to watch the Three Stooges maybe get into it with some wrestlers and look like dicks.
Exactly. They don't care about Bob Barker being on. No Price is Right fan is watching Raw to see Bob Barker fight with Jericho.
Yeah. But imagine, like, because Xavier Woods on Up, Down, Down has a lot of NXT talent. Doesn't he have, like, Breezango and like Mercedes Martinez and Shayna Baszler and all them, like. But again, like, sneak in something super simple, like he's playing, like, Battle Stars. I don't know games, so I'm not even gonna try again. Like, but you could have him and Breezango, and they're going at it on some kind of combat game. It's like, you might have beat me there, but it's not gonna save you in real life when I kick your ass next week at the pay-per-view, or, like, just something stupid and simple. But, like, that will be so much more effective than...
Yeah, because it shows your audience, hey, this is happening over here, and if you like me, you can get more of me in a different environment.
And it'll solve another problem.
That's why there's no stars in NXT really at this point like there used to be, because people are used to them, so you don't have the same attraction level.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think he could be. As I said, I don't think he needs to be champion. I think he just needs to be.
No, I wouldn't make him champion.
No.
But he would be great at putting people over and building up the competition.
He could be like the, what do you call it, the gatekeeper, like, or
Yeah.
how they say the mid card has a gate, like a lot of mid carders face somebody like a Dolph Ziggler before they move on to the main event scene because Ziggler makes them look like $1 million.
And the CW division was great because once they go ahead and he goes to G4, they're never going to use him on Raw or SmackDown.
No. But imagine, like, now that, again, I'm going to use Santos Escobar as the example just because it's current, right? Now he's sort of done with the Cruiserweight division. If he has one sort of farewell match, if you want to call it that, and Xavier Woods puts him over on some form of takeover or special NXT episode before he goes on to beat Bronson Reed for the North American Championship, that's building a bridge. That's building a huge bridge. And Xavier Woods, even though he doesn't get to wrestle very much, makes everybody look good. He is like, and I mean this more positively than I usually do. He's another Ziggler.
Absolutely.
I think it's a great mechanical choice to get in there, and just sort of.
Whoever gets in the ring with Dolph is going to he's going to have a good match no matter what. It may not be amazing, but it'll always be sound, technically sound.
Yeah. Now you want to talk about something that's a bit more fun. You want to talk about somebody who brings a manager with him. I want to talk about somebody who gives me an excuse to look at Penelope Ford on my television on a show that I actually like. Let's talk about Kip Sabian.
And who would also be involved in Up, Up, Down, Down, I'm sure, if they went to NXT.
That's true. That's true. And it would not be nearly as forced as the stuff that he does with Miro. But Kip Sabian, in general, I'm not going to lie. I'm being a little bit selfish on this one because, as much as I talk shit about AEW, I do watch it. And Kip Sabian became more of a character on Dynamite than he did a wrestler because his whole shtick on Dynamite was just putting over the Miro story. And I don't remember the last time I saw him wrestle, so I'm going to throw him over on NXT because I want to see him wrestle, and Penelope Ford's hot.
Kip Sabian isn't a bad talent either in that certain style. He fits well. I like some of the stuff he does on Twitch. He's growing, he's learning, but
he's the one that said the shit about Sasha Banks, isn't he? Is he? Or was that Sammy Guevara?
That's Sammy Guevara.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because MJF just brought that back up, and Sammy's like, "Thank you for bringing up one of the worst times in my life, you asshole." Yeah, I saw him in Southside Wrestling one time, not in person, but on that kind of stuff, and it was like, "Oh, cool!" Like, I was like, wow, who's this guy? And he was very, very fast. Obviously, his size is a big deal, because he's able to move around. He's only 183 pounds, 83 kilograms. And, I can certainly see him fitting well in the cruiserweight style. That would serve him so much better than going against any of the big guys in AEW currently. And I'm not saying
all the interchangeable big guys?
Yes.
All the guys that didn't quite make it for the Thor tryout at MCU. That was a really shitty joke. I'm having a bad week. that joke was terrible.
The attempt was there.
I don't think it really was.
And Kip is only 29. Penelope's 28 or 27. Yeah, 28. So they've got so much time to
go. Where's my life going, Jake? Thing is, as well, like, as much as I do think because wasn't it him and Sammy Guevara who had the very first match on Dynamite before we really knew who either of them were?
I think that might be true.
Sammy Guevara came out with the big fucking
panda head
on, and Kip Sabian was just like fill in the blank cocky guy.
Yes, and he didn't even have Penelope with him then.
Well, because Penelope Ford was with Back Down Janela. Isn't that his name? I think that's his name.
I think that's it.
I mean, I think he has issues with some people on YouTube, but I wouldn't touch that. That's not my business.
No, I would only
own business. Own business. But I mean, just even more than like what we see from him in the ring, because both of those guys have developed character-wise, obviously in the span of Dynamite. But I think he brings as much as he brings physically to the ring, and I'm not putting that down, but I think he brings more character to the ring. Like, the dude's got one of the most punchable faces in the world, next to The Miz and MJF.
That's why the wedding stuff could have been so much better The way they did it was stupid, predictable, and bland, and it's been done 1,000 times before that way.
And the fact that they only did it as a dig to WWE.
Yeah, because Rusev was involved in the Lana wedding, and that's all they focused on. Wrestling weddings are usually most often not good anyhow.
But the thing is, you know what I find hysterical about that, now that you mention it? And I've seen, obviously, everybody that has not been living under a rock knows I spend a lot of time listening to What Culture, except Michael Sidgwick. And I read a thing last year that, like, no matter how ridiculous we say, like, wrestling weddings are, they always draw.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they always draw stupid ratings. Which, I mean, I think for the next little while, AEW should do, like, a wedding a week, if that's the case. We're going to have the wedding. We're going to have...
But see, that's the thing. It might draw at that time. But you never end up keeping the people because...
Oh, no. It's a one-shot deal. But, like, you would think the wrestling community at large would know the trope at this point and be like, no, we're going to send a message and intentionally not watch it. But I'm saying, if stuff like that draws, then I think what AEW needs to do is, like, Cody and Brandy need to renew their vows, and then the next week, like, Brandy needs to be induced, and then the following week we have, like, Baby Rhodes' christening, and then
Baby Rhodes' first tag team championship win.
And then, and then the following week we have Cody trying to get the job done again, and then that gets them to the New York show in August or whatever the fuck it is.
And then the New York show, he gets a vasectomy live in front of the audience.
Then the baby's born, and Cody said, shit, I thought my kid was only half black. Anyways, I'm going to hell for that, and somebody's
then
probably...
Then he's got the kid, and he only needs the one, because it'll be perfect.
Why did you spend so much time with Shaq? Anyways, Kip Sabian would be great. Kip Sabian could come out there and just, like, do his promo thing, or just, like I say, come out there with his punchable... I'm really trying to get off of the image of Shaq mounting Brandy Rhodes now. Really trying to get off the... You thought that was a drink that she threw in his face.
I was just going to say that. It was more than a drink.
We are collectively bad people, so the AEW stands will say. I was going to say sorry, Guapo, but he's definitely not listening to this.
Yeah.
Kip Sabian, bring out his punchable face, let him fight a couple of people. And you know what? We already have a great women's division, but at this point, more is more.
And that's the thing, and she could be another one that's a real...
I just thought of something.
What's that?
Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford versus Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae.
Oh, I had already considered all the intergender stuff that could happen as well.
I mean, also they could die and put them up against Cross and Scarlett, but bring back Ricochet for a night, have Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford versus Ricochet and Casey Catanzaro.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the other thing I meant to say when we were talking about Rey Fenix earlier. Somebody asked me, I was in a conversation with somebody about intergender wrestling, and it's like, well, yeah, WWE's not going to do it, but if you could, like, book one, what would you do? Because and I think you and I have said this before, or I've mentioned this to you before as well, if you were going to introduce intergender wrestling, I would say mix up the women's division with the Cruiserweight division, because it's a nice little bridge type thing.
Yeah.
You got people you can look in the eye and all that kind of thing. Can you imagine Rey Fenix versus Casey Catanzaro?
I would love to see that.
That would be insane.
Candice LeRae, some of my favorite matches of hers are specifically the intergender ones.
Yeah.
Well,
she was, I didn't watch it at the time, but was she not tag team partners with Joey Ryan at one point?
Yep. Huh. She did a lot of stuff with him.
I bet she did.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't always the Gargano way.
Why is WWE insane? They just announced that Rey Mysterio will take on Roman Reigns tomorrow instead of Hell in a Cell.
Oh, good.
But it's still inside Hell in a Cell.
On SmackDown.
Yes. So you have one half of the tag team champions going against the Universal Champion
on SmackDown
in a Hell in a Cell before your Hell in a Cell pay-per-view.
Which is funny because this is going to be going out after that, so we will have gotten the beginning of that match.
Roman retains, so I guess, but why not just save it for Sunday? What's the point?
Well, that's what it's going to be. They're going to start the match, and then there's going to be some bullshit, and then there's we're going to run it back on Sunday or whatever. And if I'm wrong, then people already know that I'm wrong, and they're laughing at me as I say that. So let's go on to somebody else that WWE kind of destroyed, and somebody else that can bring a different flavor to the cruiserweight division, because cruiserweight division, that's like the X division, right? They're all flippy-dippy-doo-dahs. They don't know any psychology or chain wrestling. They don't know the basics. Fuck you. Throw in Chad Gable.
Yeah, no kidding.
Not only with the technical guys, but also, like, I'm going to go back to the Leo Rush example. Leo Rush, Chad Gable.
Yeah, Shorty G here, 35 years old, just turned 35 in March. So, I mean, he's still got some solid gas left in the tank. That age thing is important to me. Now, I know people are wrestling later and later in life.
Yeah.
But it does matter.
No, but it's a factor for sure.
And, yeah, age is a huge factor.
Yeah.
He's got 3 children. He's a great dad. They should touch on that as well. He's been married for, 10 years at this point. He's a great father and family man. They could really make a great face out of him. When they started American Alpha, they had that drive. And
he just adopted Otis.
Yeah. And once they got to the main roster and split them up with Jason Jordan, Gable was already like the second man, and then he really became odd with the Shorty G gimmick, and then he went heel and drafted Otis, so we had no idea what to make of it. But him moving to the cruiserweight division, I think is going to be absolutely fantastic. If this was real news, I would be stoked, because the way he wrestles in such a physical stance and style, he's got 3 pounds to make it. He's 202, so he could go for the title, and he would be a great face champion, someone that the crowd could really get behind, that epitome of the hustle, loyalty, respect, that kind of thing. Eat your vitamin.
Kind of I mean, he always gets the angle comparisons, obviously, because of the Olympic connection. But
yeah, it's true.
I mean, I don't know whether you were kidding or not, but there is a little bit of John Cena in him when he's a good guy.
I was serious about that.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of that Cena about him, and that's what I'm saying. He could be that prototypical face, but get really over with the crowd. I think that would be so ideal for him as a character.
I think he could be a real asset backstage as well, and I'm not saying...
Oh, we know that because he was producing briefly.
Oh, was he?
SmackDown and helping people. Yeah.
I didn't know that. Oh, I just meant more with the talent. And I'm not saying that, like, if you didn't do real combat sports, you're sort of less of a pro wrestler. But I think, like, him, like Andrade, who had, like, what was it, not Andrade, was it Del Rio that had the MMA background as well?
Yeah.
They've probably, and I'm assuming, because obviously I don't know, I don't fight for real or for fake, it's fine. But they've got to, if you've been fighting for real, you've probably got such a different outlook on the psychology portion of it. So the person that's the real fighter, I'm not asking to teach people how to fight. I'm asking them how to play a fighter, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
Because, I'm sorry, like, and there's no way to say it that doesn't sound disrespectful, but, like, if you're going into pro wrestling right away, you're immediately going into this thing where we pretend to fight. Now, you can be really good at it, but you're not going to have the same outlook as somebody who has actually fought or actually boxed. Like, Corbin, like, for anything that people want to say about Corbin...
He was a Golden Glove boxer.
Yeah, Corbin, at this point in his career, knows his role. I would put for the mid-card, I would put Corbin on the same level in the mid-card as The Miz is in the main event, where he knows exactly what his role is. He's not going out there to be the star. He's not going out there to be the champion. But he is the guy that's going to go out there, and like I said about Kip Sabian, he's going to be the guy that goes out there and gets his head punched in. Right? But he knows that. But Corbin, every now and then, does, like, tweak out a little bit of, like, real psychology in the mat. Like, in his facial expression, in the way he carries himself, and, like, there's a thing about looking like you're really going to fight somebody, or looking like you're a wrestling superstar. And both are great. Both are great. Don't get me wrong.
Is important, and you don't have to be 6'6" and 300 pounds of pure muscle. But the way you present yourself matters. That's why I like Baron Corbin. I mean, he had a certain swagger initially in NXT that they kind of stripped him of, and that confidence he lost in the main roster. But you're talking about a guy, like I said, 2-time Golden Glove, champion. He almost won another tournament the year after, I remember. He's just a legit fighter. So let him have a bit of that swagger to it, but they don't. They cut people off. So.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's something about like the fact that I've hit people in the face for real. I haven't just pretended to hit people in the face because that's what the script says. Or in Gable's case with the Olympic wrestling, I've taken somebody down for real because I was better than them and I was able to do so. I didn't just take them down because that's the part in the match that we were at and that's what the script called for at the time. Like, it's teaching them intent, I guess, is what I'm going for. And I think that would almost
intent, purpose, and that drive to prove that you're legit.
And I think that more
make them credible, because if you believe, like there's so many quotes, and Jim Cornette was talking the other day, about I forget who made the comment, but they said it on Twitter, and then people got really pissed. But it was like, the fans we used to not hit each other really hard, and the fans would believe it, and they were marks. Now we hit each other super hard, and the fans think it's all fake. So who are the marks now?
Yeah.
And it's a true statement, You got most of these guys in the indies killing each other at certain points to get themselves over, when really you just need a bit of character. What succeeds the most? The characters.
Yep.
As much as Orange Cassidy is not my cup of tea, that's how he differentiates himself from all the other wrestlers, and it works.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and Orange Cassidy is a great example because it took me a while to come around to sort of what he is, and what he is doesn't always work for me, but there is still what he is to gravitate to or not. I'm going to say it, and it's going to make me sad because they've ruined her on the main roster. But Shayna Baszler in NXT never really looked like she'd left the cage.
No,
like she's out there choking
badass.
people out because she knows what it's like to legitimately choke somebody out. And you can't replicate that experience. And again, It's not that the people that don't have that experience are lesser performers. It's just if you have somebody like Chad Gable or a Shayna Baszler or a Ronda Rousey when she was around, when she wasn't off making babies, or a boxer or an MMA guy, or Brock Lesnar, if he ever decided to pass on his knowledge to other people, which I doubt he will. Can you imagine how expensive Brock Lesnar would be if they hired him to be a trainer in the PC?
Oh, my God. Each half-hour session would be $300,000.
Oh, good Lord. Just to walk through the door, never mind teach you anything. Mm-hmm. But no, Chad Gable, just because...
He'd shoot everybody with a crossbow.
Oh, no. Oh, my God. And he would have a new crossbow gimmick, and that would lead to his intense rivalry with the Archer of Infamy, Damian Priest. Okay, we should not be talking about Brock Lesnar in a Cruiserweight video, but Chad Gable would be an amazing thing.
Yeah.
He'd be an amazing get for why can't I speak? For NXT in the Cruiserweight division. There we go. I'm here.
No doubt about it. Another great get, and someone that we would take away from a team, even though he's not really part of their team anymore. Take Scorpio Sky out of SCU.
Well, he's new with Ethan Page now, but
yeah,
Scorpio Sky, man, like here's the opposite. Like I don't quite like he's still finding himself as a heel character. So this is a guy that
into it, but he used to be great,
yep.
and I feel like his clock is really starting to tick, and it's getting to be that time where they got to figure out, all right, if you're gonna make him a heel, then it's got to click with him because it's not really working right now. And I think he is better serviced in that face high flyer position.
Yep.
He's 38. He's running out of time. He's getting old. His body has been through a lot. He's been wrestling since 2002. So I mean, he's had a long career as well.
And see, here's the thing that I don't get, and it's a cliche in wrestling, and I understand it to a certain degree, but I don't think it always has to apply. The idea that when you're a face, you're a high flyer because that's what the fans want to see, and you know they're going to pop for a huge spot. Like Pac, when he's sort of tweener versus when he's heel and he does less high-flying stuff, right?
Yeah, because you can do high-flying stuff as a heel. You can certainly make yourself an attraction.
Right. My point being is that if you are doing it for the fans and then you stop, that makes you a heel, right? If you're doing it for the fans, if you're doing it to be cocky to the fans, sort of look how great I am. Yeah, this is what you want. Yeah, you're going to cheer me. You could definitely still be a heel and do the high flyer stuff. It's not a trope that I understand the bare bones of it, but I don't think it's as cut and dry as a lot of other people say. My point here being with Scorpio Sky is I don't really know what his character is right now. So while I've talked about character with a lot of the other wrestlers, this is the opposite. This is just like, I want this guy in an NXT ring because bell to bell, look what he can do. I'm doing the opposite of what we've just finished saying in the past couple of examples. Just put him in the ring. I'm pretty sure the more the guy works out and bulks out a little bit, he's not going to last in the Cruiserweight division that long. But the whole point of this was to say, like I said with Phoenix, like, you don't have to be trapped in the Cruiserweight division. You can extend past that as well. And just, this is the guy that you put into the NXT matches where there doesn't necessarily have to be a story. Just, in this case, just throw a graphic up.
Yeah, I remember when Sky did like the disappearing to Africa angle that they had at PWG, and people were going nuts about that. And that's when I started to know him, and he was taking on Christopher Daniels, and they had this big I Quit match, and Sky won. I remember watching that, and you know that was before it started to get like really, really silly. You know, with the invisible grenades and thumbs up people's asses. And
oh, good lord! See, it's funny for me, right? Because I used to watch TNA a lot more. I'm starting to get back into Impact now. I remember when Kazarian and Daniels first got together as the Dirty Heels, and I remember liking them as a tag team. I remember Kazarian when he had his hair, and all his logos were like the K, but it was meant to look like the Metallica logo.
Yeah.
And I remember them as a team, and I missed in the middle where they added Scorpio Sky to the mix. So when AEW started, Scorpio Sky was
a bit confused.
Well, it wasn't that I was confused. I mean, obviously these guys left Impact and went and did other things in other places, and
Yeah,
that's totally
not confused, but like
they came
taken
to
aback.
they came to Destiny, actually. Check it off your Spaz
really?
Phoenix bucket list. I can't even remember who they faced, but I saw Scorpio there, and he wasn't in the match as much. I'm like, okay, here's the new guy. Here's the one out of the three that I don't know. And then it turned out that other than like the mass brawl portions of the match, like he wasn't. It was very much a, hey, here's Kaz and Daniels. These guys you know really well. Like, let's let them have a bit of a, like, not a Broadway, but
yeah, they still had more of a show off.
a little bit more of the cachet. And I don't even think that he spent as much time on the mic as the other two did. But so no, when AEW started up, and I'm like, okay, these guys are a trio. I know what Kaz can do. I know what Daniels can do. It looks like they're pulling Daniels back a little bit because he's sort of feeling his years and all that sort of thing. So let me focus on this guy that I'm not as familiar with. And it just, I'm sorry, with AEW, most of the stories are secondary to me. I'm like, give me a cool match. I'm good. Like, put Mox and Kingston together as a killer tag team. Let them kill the Bucks. I'm fine.
Yeah, I remember Scorpio Sky running out with no shoes and winning all that great shit. Yeah.
What was it like? They won the tag titles with him with one shoe on, right?
Yep.
No, but like stuff like that is cool. But that's like a singular moment that I'll remember. That's not necessarily
exactly because the rest of it fell to the wayside with them.
Yeah, his character is not guy that lost his shoe.
No, but it just showed his dedication in the match. Those are the things they need to do each week and add character to him. But
yeah,
then
like you can do
like,
oh,
we forgot you existed.
My reaction to that is, okay, in all fairness to AEW, WWE would do a spot like that, and the whole match would be like, holy fuck, how goofy is this? He did it as just a wrestler that's like, well, fuck, I lost my shoe. I guess I'm fighting with one shoe now.
Exactly.
And, but no, it took me out of the character thing that, you typically focus on. Like, just look at what this fucking guy can do. And it's a very simple, like, here's a fucking amazing athlete. Like, here's Apollo Crews before they gave him the gimmick that he has now. Like, bring him out, let him have a match. Don't try to tell me that he's this cool guy because I really don't think he is right now. But I know I'm going to get a good match out of him, so just give me the match. Give me Apollo Crews versus Scorpio Sky at this point. I'd love it. At this point, it's the rare occasion of don't bog it down with a story. It's literally, here. It's the graphic wrestling. It's this guy versus this guy if you tune in on Friday. Okay, cool, I'm there. That's all I need.
Yeah.
And you need a guy like, where, especially on NXT, where they get the criticism of they're either super goofy or really, really gritty and serious. And there's not very much in between. You need a couple guys in there to just, maybe like one an episode, or maybe one even every other week. That's just like, here's a match for match's sake. It's going to be good. It's got Scorpio Sky in it. Have fun. Can you imagine, out of the blue, they announce next week the guy that's answering Kushida's Cruiserweight Open Challenge is Scorpio Sky?
Yeah, that would be...
Do you need a story there?
No. But after a while, you would. And that's kind of the problem with NXT and AEW to a certain extent. I feel like AEW has stories more than NXT does, but their stories are pretty subpar. Most of the time, some are good, but only usually the main event, it feels like, or Cody stuff. And then NXT doesn't have many stories, but their matches are always excellent, but they're lacking the passion to make you want to stay tuned for those matches.
Yeah. I think in NXT right now, the stories match the focus of the show, and so much of the focus on the show right now is on the women's division to their benefit.
Which is good, but it makes everyone else feel forgotten about too. So
that's true. It's absolutely true. I just think
because right now, you know, as we'll have to talk about soon enough, there's no one left for Cross really to face. He beat the Mount Rushmore of NXT, and
yeah, but you know,
where do we go
he beat one guy, and there's 3 other guys that are gonna pop up and say, "Well, you never beat me."
Exactly.
It's what they do after a triple threat.
You know, so he'll go tear through all them, and it's like, then what? You know, that's the issue right now, because they don't have a lot of stars. They're not pulling in new people to be the next person to vanquish the champion. That was pretty much the crux of NXT. It was always, we're going to bring somebody else in, make them champion, they'll go up. You know, and
I really thought we said it on the night.
Rude. Here comes McIntyre, there goes McIntyre, there goes Owens, there goes, you know, it's like they had a purpose. Owens comes in to take the belt from Sami Zayn, and it just worked every single time. So
I'm not going to lie,
to a certain extent.
If you wanted to make a trade between the main roster and NXT, I'd trade Cross for Owens for a little bit.
Yeah, I would too.
Because there's
Cross
enough
would
people
be a better fit in the main roster, the entrance, the type of matches, and Vince, I'm sure, would be beside himself with his physical appearance. So
I was going to say that wicked entrance that he does in NXT would be something that the WWE production team would like wet themselves over.
Oh, yeah, they can elevate that to a whole new level.
Yeah.
But I also thought they would with Aleister Black's, and they just muddied that up. So
they tried a lot of different things. Like, everybody hated the creaking board and whatever. You didn't need the sound effect, but I thought the visual effect of that was always pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't mind the sound effect.
Giving him new music was a crime.
Yeah, and then he had another song which he played on his Twitch account, which is actually quite good, but they never got to use it, so... And then, of course, speaking of Sami Zayn, he was the one, certainly last but not least, to bring up this time. El Generico's former best friend, the generic wrestler. I've watched Sami Zayn and Owens battle for what felt like forever back in Ring of Honor, and everything he's done back to the time I used to watch him in Shikara. And my God, Sami Zayn has been a consistently amazing talent, and he's only 36 at this point still. I mean, as I said many times before, Austin retired at 38. We wish we got more out of him, but it starts to get tough around 40. So he's hitting that point in time where, he's been wrestling for 20 years at this point. I would like to see him be treated a bit stronger in his delivery, and for him to go to the Cruiserweight division and take over and become their top talent, I think that would be fantastic.
I would love for him, if he was going to stay in this sort of conspiracy theory, like heel with a mission type character. This is why I think he's kind of screwed right now, because there's more similarities on the main roster right now between the type of heel he's trying to be and the type of heel that Seth Rollins is trying to be than anybody really talks about. Because they're both sort of like in that sort of God complex, I'm on a mission type of role, and you can't have two characters like that on the same show.
Yeah.
Now, what I would love for him to be, I don't know what portions of NXT you watch, but do you remember when basically the entire X Division had a feud going with Kevin Nash? Because
he was making fun of all of them and putting them down.
They were being like the little guys and whatever. Now,
yeah,
obviously,
he was like mentoring them and like tutoring them, but making fun of them at the same time. I've only seen highlight clips, like
Paparazzi Productions.
Yeah, all that shit.
But now flip that on its head, and okay, this would only really work if NXT had a babyface champion, which they don't right now.
No,
but if Kyle O'Reilly was the NXT champion, and this is where you would get fucking amazing matches, have Sami Zayn go on a mission, go through the Cruiserweight division, carry that belt for a while, and obviously as soon as he drops that belt, all the credibility of Sami Zayn just gets spread around throughout the rest of the division. But have him go on a run when he gets the Cruiserweight Championship of, if I'm the Cruiserweight Championship, if I'm the Cruiserweight Champion, then the Cruiserweight Championship is the main event title of NXT.
Yeah.
And while he's defending his Cruiserweight Championship, I said this about Escobar ages ago.
Yeah.
While he's defending it within the Cruiserweight division, he's also defending the Cruiserweight division against the rest of the roster, where he sees himself as the good guy, but he's only defending that division so that him being the top of that division helps him. And you just layer up the psychology and let him be the paranoid guy that he is right now, except in a brand that would foster it properly and a fan base that would accept it properly.
Exactly.
The only problem with that is people love Sami Zayn, and there's a small part of me that thinks like the NXT crowd almost wouldn't let him be heel. Like, he could try his hardest to be heel and they would just love him more. But also I think NXT allows the fans to do that. You can cheer the heels if you want. You can boo the baby faces if you want. We're still going to give you the match. We're still going to present the story that we're presenting. But no, like, there's almost nothing to say. Throw Sami Zayn in any division on any show, it's going to get better. But
yeah.
but
not.
like,
no, it wouldn't.
But
that's certainly for sure. I mean, could you make it better? I don't think so. Not at that point with everybody you've chosen to add.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously people that I've saved for part 3 that I think are much more exciting choices sort of going forward. But as far as the right now, Sami Zayn, well, it's kind of obvious he's the main event of this particular episode per se.
Yes.
But no, I just think, and it's going to be another Chad Gable situation of like, yeah, he's going to add to the division, he's going to add to the show when he's on the show, but like almost a cautionary tale, like sit him down with anybody that's planning on going to the main roster and be like, this is what you guys are in for, just a heads up.
Yeah, exactly.
Because how many, like, I know some of the reasons aren't necessarily like main roster is bad. But how many people, for whatever reason, have said like, as soon as they tell me I'm done with NXT, then I'm done? Like, how many people are going to say that? How many stars are going to walk away if given the option of like going to the main roster or leaving before they say, you know what, there's a little bit of a dissonance between NXT and the main roster. Maybe we start adopting. Yeah. Well, what is it?
I see that happening. I don't want to resign. This is not working for me.
Yeah.
And
well, because basically Ciampa said it. He said, if you try to move me up, I'm leaving.
Yeah, Ciampa was definitely the first one to really stick to it, and I agree with him. But from there, it's just like, how many more could we see not agree?
Mm-hmm. So, like, it would sort of sabotage the main roster, but have Sami Zayn, like, get Triple H to sneak Sami Zayn in the back door to talk to all the guys to be like, this is what you're expecting if you're looking up there, because up there is turning into down there.
Yeah, exactly, no doubt about it.
But even in the main part of the roster on NXT, like, you got, I don't know, man, Sami Zayn versus Finn Balor, Sami Zayn versus Adam Cole, Sami Zayn versus
Undisputed Era, Kyle O'Reilly,
Owens,
Bobby Fish,
Kyle O'Reilly, yeah. If he's able to wrestle again, Sami Zayn versus Joe.
Mm-hmm.
But then go down the list. Sami Zayn versus Jordan Devlin.
Yeah, Escobar,
Kushida.
Yeah.
Like, if he's going to have the title, right now he's going to take it off Kushida.
Exactly.
He's not in NXT UK anymore, but Travis Banks.
And then if you look at some of the other people we pulled in there, Mustafa Ali, Montez
Ray Phoenix.
Enzo, Ray Phoenix. Think about all those matches.
Sami Zayn versus Scorpio Sky. Sami Zayn versus, who did we say in the first round? Sami Zayn versus Sami Zayn versus Montez Ford.
Yeah, like, you could Enzo Amore, Mustafa Ali especially. My God, that would be delicious.
But like, here's my perfect example, and this is why I will boost NXT, even though they gave me a shitty episode this week. You could have on the main roster on SmackDown right now. You could have a match like Sami Zayn versus Montez Ford. Do you think they're ever going to think that outside the box?
I don't know.
You got one guy that's a former tag champ and one guy that's in the mid-card title picture. Well, why would they? Well, they're not in the same place. Why would they? Because the match will be fucking great. And then you flip the script because Sami Zayn is so over the top. Yeah, throw him in there with somebody like Crazy Steve. Throw him in there with a wild card character like Manic or Suicide.
Oh my God, Drake Maverick. Yeah.
Drake Maverick would be great.
Think about what you can get for that.
Well, because the thing is, though, and you'd need somebody like Sami Zayn to do it. Drake Maverick, as much as he's a comedy character, and as much as Killian Dane right now just uses him as a projectile, but, like, Drake Maverick is a good wrestler. Like, take the Drake Maverickness or the Rockstar Spudness off him. Like, he's not a bad wrestler.
No, he's not.
Oh, my God, I just thought of something.
What's that?
Canadian connection. If you're going to have Sami Zayn and you're going to have Kevin Owens and you're going to have them team up at least one time in NXT because that's what they do eventually, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus Everrise.
Yeah. That would
be
be
so fucking good. But then,
no
Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens versus Redragon.
Oh.
Okay, now we're just now we're just
O'Reilly. There's so many things that we can get out of this, so no doubt about it.
Now we're just making ourselves really, really sad.
Or just really excited for something that could happen in the future. You never know.
See, but here's the thing, and you can't help but do it, right? But you see, so-and-so is going to be the next so-and-so, so-and-so is going to be the next so-and-so. I hate admitting that I do it, but sometimes it's really good. Daniel
But
Bryan.
sometimes, I mean, you want to be, all right, we got to be our own selves. Yeah, I get that, but other times you also have to be...
Yeah, you have to acknowledge comparisons that are there and who somebody reminds you of, right? On that level, can you imagine a main event? And I'm always going to pitch this as TakeOver Madison Square Garden now because it just sounds good in my head. But imagine the main event of NXT TakeOver Madison Square Garden, triple threat for the NXT Championship. Daniel Bryan versus Sami Zayn versus Kyle O'Reilly.
Oh, I know, my God.
We both need to get the mop. It's fine. All right. Anyways, that's about it. That's all we got time for. We got one more of these episodes to go. Hopefully we won't make you guys wait as long for them. Very quickly, because I know you got to go do Joe stuff. Tell them where to find you, buddy.
You can find me on Twitter at CountdownEnded, or we are live on the Joe Cronin Show after every WWE and AEW pay-per-view or TV show.
And you guys know where to find me, or you wouldn't be here. I've been here. He's been super sexy, Jake DeMarco. We have been your NXT Cruiserweight Division reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, me and this sexy bitch are tagging out. Bye, guys.